What a wonderful occasion the India-South Africa game at the MCG was. As the 87,000 crowd, mainly consisting of Indians, stood for the two contrasting but excellent national anthems, the World Cup once again seemed like a major world sporting event. The small, intimate grounds in New Zealand are lovely, but grand sport needs a grand stage, and the MCG certainly provided that. Star Sports even bothered to organise an aerial view of the MCG to show what a wonderful night it was. And what a great triumph for India. As for South Africa, a setback or not? Mark Waugh certainly didn't think so.
I'll tell you, the tactics from South Africa aren't too bad when you think about it. They normally choke at the end of the tournament. They're getting the choke out of the way early. Yeah, good idea. Get rid of the bad game early.
All of a sudden, the Indian bowling looks genuinely potent. And what a great return to form for Dhawan. I regretted sending this tweet out as soon as the South African collapse began. Safe to say that I got that one wrong. If you want to see more tweets of that standard, you can follow me at the Summer Game. So, where to now for India? If all goes to plan, they look like they'll top Group B. But is this something that they should want to do? If there are no upsets, Group A might look a little bit like this at the end of the preliminary matches. If this were the case, India would be happy to top their group because it would mean they'd play Sri Lanka at the SCG. But what if Group A looks like this? Now, India would have to play England in Melbourne. Given India twice lost to England in Australia in the Tri-Series just before the World Cup, I think this is a fixture they'd prefer to avoid. And their destiny may well be in their own hands, because India play their last game after South Africa, England and Sri Lanka have all played their final games. So, on the morning of India's final match against Zimbabwe, the top of Group B might look a bit like this. So, if India were to beat Zimbabwe as expected, they would top Group B and then have to play England at the MCG. Or would there be some temptation for India to try really hard, but somehow lose to Zimbabwe by enough to ensure that South Africa's net run rate was better, and thus play Sri Lanka at the SCG? But back to the match. Shane Warne made an interesting point during commentary with regards to the 1999 World Cup.
That side that we had in '99, the amount of clever batsmen and power we had with Gilchrist and Mark Waugh at the top, and then Ponting and Darren Lehman, who was fantastic against the spinners in the middle, Ponting at number 3, Damien Martin. It was just a really good side. Michael Bevan, we had some wonderful players, you know.
Now, it's well known that Warne has decided he no longer likes Steve Waugh. Do you think that this is affecting his commentary in any way? I mean, Waugh's 398 runs at an average of 80 during that World Cup were good, but Martin's 29 runs were absolutely crucial. But back to this World Cup, a point that's being considered is, will countries like India, England and Australia suffer from not having a quality wrist spinner in their side? I think Australia could be the ones that suffer most, because we have a great tradition of fine leg spinners in one-day cricket. From Terry Jenner to Kerry O'Keefe, then there was Bob Holland, Brad Hogg, Stuart McGill, Cameron White, and of course, Fawad Ahmed. No doubt feeling the excitement of the occasion, after the match, Harsha Bhogle sent out this tweet comparing the fact that there were more people at the South Africa-India game than there had been for the Australia-England game at the start of the tournament. I think it's also worth looking at the television audience for the game. Once again, Channel 9 decided not to show this match. It was only available on Foxtel. So an average audience of only 177,000 people watched this game. Compare that to when Australia played England in the opening game of the World Cup. 84,000 turned up live, and the television viewing, well, it was over 1.7 million people. And as for this game, why didn't Channel 9 show it? What was so important that they had instead? This. The Block, a reality TV show about do-it-yourself renovations. And how did it rate? Boom. Nearly 8 times higher than the cricket on Foxtel. Sadly, the vast majority of Australians did not even know the match was on. And finally, to the other game. Afghanistan almost defeated Sri Lanka. And although they lost the match, Afghan fast bowler Shapur Zadran showed it wasn't just Mitchell Johnson who can snap bats in two. And that was day 9 of the Cricket World Cup.